So today we are working on the ultimate street drift car build. If you're not familiar with this project, this is a car I've been building for a few months now. It's basically my ultimate version of a streetable drift car. A car you can drive on the street. It's comfortable enough for you to want to drive it, not just bear driving it, right? We drive race cars on the street, and I mean, it's fun, but it's not something that you're always going to choose to drive unless you're in that kind of mood. The goal is to make this car a car you would drive whether you're in the mood to drive it or not. So this is a Nissan Cefiro. It's basically a four-door S13. It's got S13 suspension, but it's a sedan. It was kind of Nissan's flagship model, big plush seats and all that stuff. So we took the RB20 out. We put a turbo K24 Honda motor in it with a built head. We've got a BMW ZF Trans. So we've done the majority of the work up to this point. I won't run you guys through all the details. For those of you who are familiar with the project, I won't bore you. If you want to go back and watch some of the other videos, I'll link the playlist below. But basically up to this point, we've done a ton of fab work: exhaust, intercooler, we built the radiator, mounts, the expansion tank. We've done quite a bit of fab work. And the most recent project was quite a bit of wiring. So we built the entire engine harness. We have a Haltech ECU. We have a Haltech base harness. So we routed it, pinned it all. And the harness is pretty much done with the exception of the throttle body and the pedal, just because I'm waiting for pinouts for those. And a couple of other small things like a power wire to the alternator and the starter. One of the things we were waiting on was the battery, which happens to be here, but I'm not departing from my plan. We are not working on the wiring today. For my own sanity, we're gonna do some fab projects. They are my absolute favorite. Building stuff in the shop is my happy place. Not to mention, I got this new fancy fixture table and I haven't had a real project to use it on yet. And I am itching. It's just calling my name every time I walk in here. So even though the battery's here and we could technically continue on the wiring, we're not. We're gonna do some fab projects. But the battery is still important to our current situation because the first project we're gonna do, we've got a few, but project number one, we need to build some sort of inlet for the turbo here so we're not just sucking in hot air from the engine bay. I don't even know if we could fit a filter here if we were being lazy, but even if we could, we're just gonna be sucking in hot air. We wanna try to get some nice cool air, keep our intake air temps down. So we've got a pretty elaborate intake to build. I've got my game plan in mind of how I wanna do it, but we'll see how it shakes out. We gotta start cutting and fitting. So let's get some material out and get to it. Oh, also before I forget, promised Ben, since he ships the merch, that I would plug the merch more often. We have merch on the site, garagebuiltco.com, if you're interested. We have a few different designs. We were running low on stock, so we might not have your size, and the restock is gonna be a while, just like everything else. Car parts, everything. There's a pretty long wait for merch. So if you're interested in getting a shirt, you should definitely act quickly because there might not be many left. But we'll get a restock eventually if you can't get one now. It's just gonna take a bit. Alright, so I got a pretty small filter. Might have to go a little bigger. I just wanted one that was actually 2.5 inch. I didn't want to get one that was where I'd have to reduce it down. And realistically, it'd be better to build this intake 3 inch or more. I mean, that might be enough. This is a little 4-cylinder, but it's probably gonna make like 500 wheel. I don't know, we'll see. So first step's gonna be with our clamp here. So this is all Mishimoto stuff besides the air filter, obviously, which I've used on pretty much this entire build. So we've got their quick disconnect clamps. I love these. These are sick. But this is a pretty thick unit. Let me show you what I mean, what I'm worried about. So we already don't have a lot of distance to get our curve in here. And then you add this guy on top of it. There's like no room. So what we're gonna have to do is cut this off. Because obviously we don't need this flange here because we're not putting a coupler on here. We're going with a hard clamp. I think we'll be all right. I think we can make that. I think we can make that. So yeah, we gotta pull this off, cut this guy off. This is gonna be relatively tricky to cut. All right, bandsaw is not gonna cut it. Literally. Oh, I gotta convert the old belt grinder back. It has been a while since I've used this thing. And I say a while, I mean like a week or two, but that feels like a long time when I'm used to using it every day. Alright, so I wanted to add a little bit of angle, the direction we need to go, down, and this way. So I just clamped it that way. Dude, this first use of the table. The holes in the clamps already coming in handy for things I didn't even think of. Like I wouldn't have even thought of using it for that. Like, before I got it. Alright, let's test fit this back on and try to start building from here. I think we're going to need to make some pie. Probably a lot of pie. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut the legs off a 90 as tight as I possibly can. The problem is when you start cutting into the bend itself, if you cut, like let's say I cut straight right here, it's basically an oval because you're in the bend. So it won't weld together well. So that's why we're going to try to get as close to the start of the bend as we can. Maybe dip into it just a little bit and then see where that puts us. But my point is, I'm not wasting this because I do have another 90 and we need the straights to make pie cuts. So the nice thing about having the welding table is I now don't have to worry about cluttering this one up with stuff. I don't have to move all the stuff every time it's time to weld. So definitely handy. I mean, it's not ideal, but we could make it work if we needed to. We've got to basically tweak the clamp, which we don't... Ideally, we wouldn't have it tweaked at all, because then it has more room to flex, deflect. Remember, we still got to make a U-turn. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, since all this other stuff's pie cut anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start making some pie cuts. I just wanted to see how feasible this was in the first place. And I mean, if a regular 90 fits, we should be able to make a pie cut section fit pretty decent. Gotta clean these up. It is so satisfying to clean up cut pieces like this. Like clean the outside edge with the belt grinder, deburr the inside. Just go from like scraggly little pieces to nice, clean pieces that fit together like a puzzle, which is what this is gonna be. So we need to go start mapping out our puzzle. We'll probably need more, but I figured we'd just start with this many and see where that gets us. Alright, well we've got a decent base going on here to work from. We are clearing there with these pretty much straight. So I'm going to go ahead and tack these first 4. That's not really going to change any. And we can rotate this. We can go a couple different ways with this. We can come like up here, shoot kind of straight down and then curve it in. I'm not sure what I want to do with this second half, but I know these first 4 or 5 pieces, I'm good with those. So I want to go ahead, if I've learned anything from taping pie cuts together like this, you got to strike while the iron's hot. We got to get some tacks on here before this all falls apart. So we're going to get a couple tacks on here, especially the flange. And then, like I said, these first 4 or 5 pieces, just basically end up building it in sections. It's just, you don't know exactly what you need here until you get a little further along. But I think we're on the right path with this. Oh, see, it's falling right now. All right, let's go tack it. my God. Scared this. All right, we got our first bits tacked together. Really happy with the fit up on these homemade pie cuts. Man, that's nice. So we've got this other bit. I'm not sure that I'm married to this kind of design layout yet. We'll have to see how things shake out. Anyway, I'm jibber jabbering. Let's get back to building this out. Feels good to be back doing fab work, man. I just love it. This is my happy place. I like doing other stuff on cars, but this is the thing I cherish the most. Again, we're gonna try to build this with these two touching, which, I mean, we've got just enough clearance to do it. Just that way, there's all this room for it to flex. If we build it like that, where it's already bound up, then it's not gonna have any room to go anywhere. Basically, we're gonna keep coming down a little bit to duck under this, and then get it cut, and then the plan is to pop through this side plate here, and then that way we have the filter in this opening here. So that'll give us good, clean, fresh air. I originally was gonna do it just kind of behind the headlight here, but we have this set up with a nice opportunity to pop through here. But anyway, we're not there yet. Let's keep moving. We're out of pie cuts. I need more pie cuts to figure this out. I'm kind of close to where I want to be, because that way we can start curving up in this way, and we should make the curve into the plate, I think. Alright, it's important to get the Sharpie marks off before you tack it, because if you get it too hot with the Sharpie mark, it'll turn green and it will not come off. Ask me how I know. Learned that lesson the hard way. So I may have gone a little heavy-handed with the pie cuts. I don't know, I just kind of got in the zone and ended up taking the whole 4-foot straight piece and turning it into pie cuts. It might not have been 4 feet. It might have been 2 or 3 feet. Regardless, we have a lot of freaking pie cuts. We should definitely have enough. So let's get back to our little jigsaw puzzle. All right, I think we've got this pretty sorted. Angle actually works out perfect. We just need to go a little further this way to kind of punch through the middle of that sheet. But I'm happy with that. That was about kind of what I had envisioned in my mind, because we had to go all the way down here, so that we need to steer clear of this clamp, because that's going to stick down as well. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out, tack it, and then we should be about lined up. So satisfying. Perfectly clear is the intercooler. I put just enough angle in that in tank. Clear down here. All right, before it falls apart, let's tack it. All right, main piece is tacked. All right. Oh, it is a tight fit every time. All right, so this last part is a little tricky. We are super close. The only problem I'm having now is, again, I'm trying to build this with these flush. If I rotate it back, we get that lined up straight. But I don't want it to be rotated back. I want it to be flush. So we're just like at a tiny bit too much angle, and we've got basically up, down, up. I hate that when you do that. It's kind of just like extending pie cuts, making it to where you don't have to use a straight piece. But the straight piece wasn't quite right either. So it's real close. It's real close. It's just tricky because we got to get this straight before it goes through the plate, because we don't want our filter to be like cocked back this way. Now we can add an angle on the straight piece and get it to match up if we need to. So what I think I'm gonna do, I know we can get roughly where we need to go. Getting this hole cut's gonna be tricky, just getting it in the right spot. So I'm gonna try to cut the hole first and then worry about building this last bit to the hole, if that makes sense. right, that went relatively smoothly. Minimal dramas. Oh my gosh, that works out like almost perfect. But I think we got it. I think that's pretty much dialed. All right, I'm not gonna go too crazy on this because it's just the air filter, so it's not under boost. I always overdo these. I just get too excited. I'm like, make it bigger. All right, cool. All right, well, I gotta say that is pretty dialed. I guess we can rotate it just a tiny bit. We've got a lot of leeway with that clamp, but dude, I'm stoked on that. That was that worked out so well. Obviously, we still got to put the filter on, but it's a pretty small filter. I guess we kind of kicked ourselves in the foot for putting a bigger filter later, but we can't really go down much further because this is right here. So I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. Always trying to find ways to critique it, but that's with them completely flush, and then we can rotate any which way. So I'm gonna stop jibber jabbering and blibber blabbering on here. Pull this out, tack it. We'll test the filter on here. If all of that is good, then we can weld this out. We also got to pull the compressor housing back off and weld that out as well. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what I was envisioning. Pretty much exactly. Let's tack this. Before we go jibber jabbering, tack it, filter. Okay, hopefully this is the last time we test and install this. It does fit through nicely. I'm a little worried adding the straight piece that it would be hard to get it on, but it is not. Perfectly centered in there. Oh, dude, that looks so sick. Gonna be more level than that. Something like that. Something like that. All right, well, here it is, final form. Nice and close to the intercooler there. I mean, that was as tight as we could get it. Swings down right above the body of the car here. Then boom, filter and nice, clean, fresh air. Oh, that was so fun. Oh, I don't know, that was really rewarding. I was excited to see what this was gonna look like with the filter chilling in here. I wanna put this pipe in and see how it looks all together. Have I mentioned that I enjoy fab work? If I haven't, you should know that I do a lot. It's just so rewarding and satisfying when you get done and you get to look at it. And it comes out like you were planning for it to. Everything still fits good. Boom. Battery, intercooler pipe, intake, filter. Oh, that is sick, dude. I'm stoked. I'm pumped on that. So obviously you still got to weld it, and that is a whole heck of a lot of welding. So we are going to have some fun. Like I said, we got to pull the compressor housing out, weld that. We got a lot of welding ahead of us. So before we start welding it, we're going to do another little fab project to facilitate and making welding this and stuff like this easier. All right, so I've got this bench vise, or what would it be called? It's like a machinist vise, a vise you would clamp into a mill. I'm going to use this to hold this in all its different positions, but to make this a little bit easier, we're going to extend these. So anyway, we're going to pull these jaws off, make some aluminum extended soft jaws. Oh, these are really loose. time for a whole lot of welding. All right, we got our intake pipe all welded up. Man, not my best work by a decent margin. I don't know what the deal was, man. I was just struggling. I mean, it came out all right, but definitely not like as good as that. Like the most recent intercooler pipe I did. Like I said, I don't know. I was just struggling. I was on the struggle bus. Hopefully that doesn't carry over to this guy. We got to weld this onto the turbo compressor housing. At least we got the fixture table now because we can clamp it to the table and try to keep it from warping any bit. We also need to preheat this since it's a big cast piece. Minimize our chances of warpage by getting the whole thing warm, essentially, and it'll make it easier to weld. Need to get ready to roll though with the gloves. Got my heat gun so I can measure the temp. Ta-da! Alright, that went pretty well actually. Didn't have to do the inside. Nice and flat still. Alright, we need to put the housing back together and then throw everything back together. So I have this Forged Performance diverter valve. Alright, there's one thing left to do before we put this in. Throw some weather stripping in this hole. Done. Alright, let's install this last bit. Ah, it all fits. Alright, well, here it is, all complete. Wish I had done a better job on the welding, I admit. But man, it just looks so cool in there. I love it. I'm so happy with how it came out. It came out exactly like I wanted. We got just a tiny bit of room in here. I do think I'm conflicted on if I want to add a bracket to this or not. I mean, I guess we could build a simple little bracket and put a riv nut in here, you know, just a simple little one. Perfect timing. Last piece of the puzzle just got here. See if we can throw this on. It's a 2-inch. I'm pretty sure that's 2 1/4. Might not work. I couldn't find 2 1/4 to 3. Just get on there a little better. Oh, that actually works out good because we can just take it all the way to where that's in the 3. Freaking mosquitoes. Alright, look at that. It's official. Intercooler piping actually done. Intake and everything. Speed sensor looks pretty snazzy in there. You can't really see the upgraded blow-off valve because this turbo has an integrated blow-off valve. These Borg Warners are really cool. I think they're underrated. But yeah, that's it. That's it for the boost tubes. Got that guy in there. Worked out perfect, right? It gets right over that lip, which, like I said, we didn't really need it because this isn't under boost, but it gets right over that lip and sits flush with this guy here. We've got a little bit of flexibility here, both in the mount there and then obviously up here. But it being such tight tolerances, I really wanted to try to secure it so it didn't bounce around, flop around. So now we've got our little gap here. We shouldn't ding into that. And then we got a little gap all the way around here. Got our filter. Dude, that was like I said, that was a freaking rewarding project. Battery fits good. Battery wasn't even remotely in the way, so that's cool. Yeah, really happy with that. Oh, it feels good to get back to some fab projects, man. I love fab projects so much. I just enjoy them. Wiring is satisfying and rewarding, but there's nothing like building your own parts, you know? There's just nothing like having a plan, going out the plan, and it all like coming to fruition. Very, very happy with how that whole deal turned out. Looks so good. So anyway, I was gonna knock out some more fab projects, but as always, that took a bit longer than anticipated, which I know this by now, but I'm still optimistic. I thought we were gonna get like the battery box done and maybe even start on the catch can, but we'll have to save that for next time. So we've got that, wiring, and some plumbing, mainly oil lines to do, and it's time to fire this thing off. I mean, we don't even have to do the fab projects to fire it off. I needed a break from the non-fab projects. This is my therapy. I enjoy it. And I wanted to use the new table. So that worked out great. Having the clamps, having this guy with the extended jaws. Man, just better tools help so much. The fit up on the pie cuts was perfect. Welding it was a lot better. Even though I still somehow managed to screw it up, I'm puzzled on that one. I had the best setup to weld and welded worse than I had before. I don't get it. But anyway, really happy with the results and everything. I guess that's going to be it. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. See you next time. Goodbye.